Welcome to episode of Sitting Courtside. Today we have got, we'll say, a medium show. It's a medium show. We'll get your blood pumping, your boiling, whatever I'm trying to say. We got a recap. It's been a little bit of a slow week. It's been a slow week. We still have upsets though. We always are giving our top 10s from last week, which there's already been changes probably to those because we have had upsets this week already. We're also going to do picks for the weekend. Just get ready for a Saturday jam-packed, and then get ready for NFL football on the other side of that, because that's basically all you're going to get to watch for the next 4 days of college. But hey, let's stop talking about it and let's just do it. Welcome to episode of Sitting Courtside. Today is Friday, January 19th. We're all happy to be here. We're ready for college basketball. It's been a really weird season. I feel like I say that every year, but it's been extra weird in 2024. But we're here to cover it all. We're going to cover it for you guys. So Kyle, hit the people with what they need to know from the last week of basketball.
Yes, if you go all the way back to our last podcast, you'll know that a lot of top 5 teams lost. The weekend really wasn't that crazy, so we'll have just a few upsets to recap. And then I want to talk about the new top 25. But first, let's just go with the upsets. TCU, they take down Houston last Saturday. This marks the second loss last week for Houston. Now 2 losses on the season. TCU, though, yes, they lost last week, but they're now 2-2 in the Big 12. And they've played Kansas, Houston, Oklahoma, and Cincinnati, and they should have beat Kansas.
Yes, they should be 3-1. They should be.
I'm so happy for Jamie Dixon because I love Jamie Dixon as a coach. I know you do too. This is huge for TCU.
And the best thing about this is Jamie Dixon was on a very famous podcast that many people might know by the name of Pardon My Take earlier in the year. And he referenced that they basically were going to be the 1980s Lakers. Like they're just going to run up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, score. Scoring maybe hasn't been as high as he would like to say, but this team is extremely talented. They did excellent 2 years ago. Last year was the year we thought maybe they're going to make a run. It was a little bit disappointing, but he is back with a vengeance with this TCU team. They're going to get scary in the Big 12, a team I don't think a lot of people seen coming. Great things, though, for him and the Horned Frogs. What do they do? Do they do this little thing?
Yep, they certainly do. Yeah. They certainly do.
With this weird I didn't know that like Horned Frogs were also snakes, but here we are.
Yep. So let's go on to the next one on Saturday, because this contained 2 of the teams that I was really high on at the beginning of the season. Texas A&M, huge win on Saturday over Kentucky, who I didn't really see this as a bad loss. They actually were underdogs in this game. They were bound to lose one of these. But everything that Texas A&M got from this game for the resume, they gave right back with the last-second loss to Arkansas on Tuesday. So what really would have looked good on Monday looks just okay now, because they kind of just threw away their win against Kentucky because Arkansas is not a tournament team.
Yes, so I did play the Arkansas side against A&M. That was the classic massive win, coming back against not a great team, but Arkansas is not terrible. That was one of those you got to be watching the games, be aware of what's going on to get that in. The Kentucky one, though, I missed one, Kyle. I got too excited. I saw it, and I'm like, what a bunch of dummies. I took the cheese, and it snapped my head. That was the most obvious trap of a line after literally you sat here and said, A&M is a quality team. They're going to play with Kentucky. You thought it should be an even line. I thought it should have been Kentucky by like 6. We got the 3. That should have been the first hint that was a rat of a game, a rat of a line. Should have took A&M. That's on me. But yeah, and also Kentucky. I don't know what to do with Kentucky. I don't know what to do with the SEC.
Yeah,
I don't know with college basketball, honestly.
I know college basketball.
That was a shocker, though. But at the same time, it wasn't, because we watched Kentucky. They played a really good game against a bad Louisville team and still only won by like 20. Then they turned around, had a weird game against Florida. We should have probably seen this coming, but I've been drinking the Kool-Aid with Kentucky. I thought they're going to be really good after that massive win they had early in the year without their big men. I got to start opening the eyes. Just open the eyes and see what we're seeing,
For this one, it was like, this is the 4th or 5th time Kentucky this season has had one of those lines where you're like, I thought they were a really good team. Why are they not favored, or why are they barely favored? So I'll take the one loss out of those so far. So it doesn't scare me away from Kentucky, but it was bound to happen for sure.
Yeah. Again, weird game.
And speaking of losses, a very weird loss, but I mean, Arizona just apparently must suck on the road, because they lost at Washington State on Saturday. I mean, this team looks like when you watch them and they're full go, they look like a national title contender. But then, what national title contender lost to Washington State during the season? Like that team
So
never beats anybody good.
so is this a surprise, Kyle? Is it really?
I
Because
mean,
we were super high on them last year, and we referenced even the beginning of this year, we're like, we're not going to fall for this. We thought
yeah,
Arizona was going to lose 1 or 2 games last year, and they turn around and lose like 6. And we were like, yeah, they're going to lose probably 3 or 4 games. Well, they've lost 4 games. I'm
yeah,
not shocked by these weird results. I'm more shocked at who they're losing to more so than the losses themselves, if that makes any sense. Like
hmm
the losses are going to come. It's who they're coming against is the weird, like Washington State, really? They're
yeah.
not a quality basketball team unless your name is who's the guy for the Pac-12? I can't even think. I'm drawing a blank. It's getting late.
I don't know who you're talking like
The druggie
Bill
from
Walton.
UCLA.
Bill Walton.
Yeah,
Bill
Walton.
Walton.
Unless you're
Yeah,
Walton, and
yeah,
you remember last year when Walton like tried to convince himself like 9 teams from the
yeah.
Pac-12 were going to make the tournament. Unless you're Bill Walton, Washington State's not a good team.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, that's a perfect way to segue. Is I'm looking at the Pac-12 standings right now. Oregon is 5-0, leading the group. So right now, if you had to look at them, they're probably going to make the tournament. Nobody else is above 4-2, and there's really no lock besides Arizona and maybe Oregon right now. Like you look at this conference,
Yeah.
Stanford's in second, and they're 9-7 overall with some really terrible losses. So
Yeah, and if you recall back to the preseason episode, I just randomly took I think UCLA for like the tournament, not the
mhm,
actual season.
yeah,
They stink. They're not a good
yeah,
basketball. They might be worse than Indiana. The rest of the conference, we thought USC would maybe be a quality
They're
team.
so bad. They're so
They're
bad.
I don't even know what they're trying to do
Yeah,
half the
they're
time. Like it
awful.
just I honestly think right now, if we did a Mountain West Pac-12 challenge, the Mountain
Uh,
West might sweep it.
yeah, they would crush them. Yeah.
like it would be close.
Yeah, I've honestly just started. I've stopped betting Arizona on the road, and just if I have any like inkling on a game in the Pac-12, I just take the home team. Either avoid it completely or just take the home
Yeah.
team because that seems to be like the only way teams are winning right
No,
now.
I think that what I'm going to start doing with Arizona games, because they just always seem to be the team that likes to get promoted on television, at least you can watch it and have some excitement.
Hmm.
I'm just going to start doing their team totals.
Yeah,
If it's
that's true.
over 88, I'm taking their under. And if it's under
Yeah,
88, I'm taking their over and just hope to God they score a bunch of points.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the only thing you can do because their spreads are always ridiculous. They're always
Yes,
like the
they really.
unders defense. And they've clearly shown that they're either going to murder the team or they're going to lose in embarrassing fashion. And my
Yeah,
pocketbook can't do that. If I'm going
yeah.
to do that, I at least want to root for points and have excitement on the line.
Yep. And we'll discuss some of the other West Coast teams here in a bit when we talk about the top 25 because I have some input on those as well. But we'll move on to the next upset. Illinois, a rare home loss here, 76-67 to Maryland on Sunday. I'm not really sure what to make of this one. Like Illinois has been able to like weather the storm without Shannon. Maryland, they're not a very good team, so I didn't see this one coming.
I don't. That was a sneaky one that no one watched. I don't
Yeah, because
really.
it was on
I'm kind of
Sunday.
with you. Like it was like a hidden game. No one really thought anything of it. It's very similar to another game I know you're going to say next, where it was like you seen it on like the upcoming games, and it's just one of those you didn't even think to watch,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
that's the result you get.
Yeah. Yep. For the last recap of the game, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but maybe Baylor in overtime to Kansas
Oh
State.
no,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I was referencing Penn State, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I did skip over that one. You're right.
That was one
Yes.
I would like. I literally
Uh-huh.
actually seen the line, and I
Yeah.
almost tweeted it was a rat line because it just seemed weird. And then Penn
Yeah.
State actually ended up winning outright. But it was again, it was a Tuesday. I think
Mm.
Tuesdays are weird days.
Yeah.
Like Tuesdays, like they play at weird times. Like either play like 6:15 or like
Hmm.
11 in the Big
Yeah.
Ten, which is like insane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
For
that's
that
what I was
one,
referencing. Go ahead though.
so I've been listening to Wisconsin radio because of obvious reasons because of the Packers. God bless you. But because of the Packers for the last couple of weeks. And all they said about Wisconsin is don't trust them on the road against Penn State because it's a trap because they were 2 games up on everybody in the Big Ten. So I was like, I'm just going to avoid that game. Not even going to watch it.
Yeah, I actually think if you go back through our record books, I don't think I bet on that game either or put in a pick for it because
Yeah,
it was one
I
like I
didn't
saw and
know.
I was like that looks weird.
Yep.
But it was again, it was like a Tuesday, and I'm like I'm doing real life things. I didn't think to
Mhm.
even like dig into it, but I know specifically seeing it and being like that looks weird, and just kept going on with my
Yep.
life.
Uh-huh. But yeah, the other one was Baylor losing in overtime to Kansas State. Kansas State's a good team. I don't care what their
Yeah,
record is right now. They're a good team, very well coached. That's a tough. I think Baylor was actually plus 2.5 in that game or something
They
like
were,
that. It was
depending
a
on the
tough
sports
game.
book you were looking at, you could get Baylor all the way up to 2.5, or you could get Kansas State up to 1.5.
Yeah, so
Which
that's
that
not
just tells you that game right there.
yeah, not a bad loss at all for Baylor. So nothing to worry about there. But I really, really want to talk about the rankings that came out this week. I know there's been some losses since the rankings come out, but this is the AP ranking that I might agree with the most, and it's just because of the teams they dropped out of the top 25. They dropped out Colorado State, San Diego State, Clemson, and Gonzaga, and Texas. And those teams for the last 3 weeks have been almost impossible to bet because
Mm-hmm.
their spreads just seem too good to be true. And so I think these 5 teams, and I hate to say it, Colorado State might be the only one of the 4 that I have any hope left in. But absolute frauds, never going to bet for these teams unless they completely change around their season.
Yes, and I have a fun little exercise for us later. I think that will validate you in that.
Mhm.
But on the top 25, I agree in that it's a pretty solid top 25. You could convince me one way or another where they put some of the teams. My only argument,
Yeah.
which I will highlight in our top 10, there are 2 teams in specific that if even off the Ken Palm, should be rated significantly higher than they have them. I still think there's a little bit of like blue blood bias going on, as well as like, oh, these teams are already rated really high to start the year, and they just won't move them back.
Hmm.
So that's my only complaint is really
Yeah.
from the top from 1 to 12. There's a couple teams I think need to be moved around a bit. Other than that, though,
Yeah.
I think we're started kind of figuring it out. We're still
Yeah.
early in conference play. I think we get into mid-February. We're really going to know who the top teams in the country are at that point, because Saturday is going to be an absolutely slaughter of, do we know
It really
who's
is.
good and who's
Yeah.
not with some of the rankings and how they have these teams lined up this weekend.
Yeah. And just to touch real quick on the West Coast thing that I talked about earlier. Right now, look at the WCC. Their highest ranked net team is St. Mary's. If you look at St. Mary's, they are what is it? They are 12-6.
Yeah.
They have 3 losses to quad 3 teams. So that's barely like a conf or a tournament team.
Tournament team, yes.
Yeah, Gonzaga, they're 40th in net. They're 11-5 right now. San Francisco 14-4. They're not even in the top 40 in net. This is a disaster for the WCC right now. They're looking
Yes.
at you got to win the conference to get in, and that's it. That's not like this conference is used to.
Yeah, well, and we referenced Santa Clara also, who's in that conference
Hmm.
as a quality team, and they are a quality team, but I think they're like maybe 11-6, 11-7, because
Yeah, 12-7. Yeah,
there you go. Like, it's just the conference is not. Didn't they get 3 teams in last year?
yeah,
Yeah,
they
three
did.
teams last year, and they're gonna get one. That's
Yeah,
what they're getting.
yeah. St. Mary's non-conference schedule was so bad that they're going to have to like overachieve so hard in the conference to
It
like
would actually
earn
be
an out
kind of
large.
hilarious too if Gonzaga didn't get in, because doesn't Gonzaga have like a ridiculous streak going right now, like
Uh-huh.
17 seasons or some shit?
Yeah, they might have the longest because Duke, remember they missed it in the
Yes.
COVID season. Or I guess I don't know if they counted I think they were still, I don't know, whatever it was. But yeah,
So I actually looked for something else that I will reference in a minute. If you go to the NCAA record books, they do not count COVID.
yeah, okay.
They
Okay.
marked
So
it out
then
as
Duke's,
tournament
yeah.
canceled.
Okay. All right, let's move it on. That's the recap. Not a ton to really look back at, not too many big results, but let's go on to our new top tens. How about that?
Love it.
All right, so I'll go ahead and go first this week. I'll start from one. Number one, I still have Purdue here. They have more quad 1 wins than any other team, and their only losses are to quad 1 teams. And now, if you look on KenPom, they have the number 1 strength of schedule. So I'll give it to them just very slightly over UConn, who has 1 less quad 1 win than Purdue, but 1 more than Kansas. So Kansas is number 3. I have UNC all the way up at 4. They just aren't losing right now. They're on a hot streak. They're dominating the ACC. I only dropped Houston from number 2 to number 5 here just because they're 5-2 against quad 1 and 2 teams, and 7 out of my top 10 teams lost last week. So I'd
Yes.
only dropped them to number 5. I have Memphis now all the way up to number 6. Yes, they're only 1-2 against quad 1 and 2 teams, but they're on a 10-game win streak with no bad losses, and both of those losses were on a neutral site. Tennessee, all their number 7, all their quad 1, all their losses are quad 1, and they're 9-1 in their last 10. So yeah, they had a loss last week, but it was a tough game on the road.
Yeah.
I have Duke. Duke finally enters my top 10 here at number 8, and it's kind of by default. They only have 1 quad 1 win. but they're efficient on both ends of the ball, and they have won 8 in a row and with a win over Baylor. Number 9, Auburn. They're 7th in net, 4th in Ken Pom, but 92nd in strength of schedule. So I'm not really sure what to make of them, but we have a huge game coming up this weekend, so I think we'll learn a lot about them. And then just because everybody lost, I'm going to go with the team that I still trust, number 10, Kentucky, because they're 4-2 in quad one in 2 games, and I'm just a Kentucky guy right now.
Yep, that's fair. I will just say now, for me, there's probably only 3 teams on my top 10 that were more resume based. The rest, literally, I just, to what you said, everyone kept losing, so I'm like, okay, neutral court site game, who am I taking? And that's basically how I end up with my top 10.
All right, let's hear it. This is what the fans want.
Number 1, I got UConn.
Okay.
So I think that's a fair one. 2, Purdue. Again, you could convince me either way with those 2 teams. I just think it's time for a new number 1. Let's see if UConn can hold on to it. They got a big game this weekend, which we will talk about. Number 3, I have Memphis.
Okay.
I think they're a really good team. I do have them in my preseason Final Four. Again, the Ken Pom does not support that really with any of their efficiency. They're not great really on either side of the ball, but they somehow keep getting it done. So we'll see where that goes. Number 4, I do have North Carolina, again, somewhat by default, because like they just really haven't lost in like 2 months.
I know.
They've been held back for quite a while for me because I watch them play and I do not like their style of play. I'll say that right now, but the resume speaks for itself.
Yep.
Number 5, I have Auburn. It's one of the teams I referenced. They are extremely efficient on offense and defense. You did reference the strength of schedule, but they are like 14th, I think, in the actual polls. That's malarkey.
Yeah,
they need to be higher. Okay. They're 14-2 in the SEC. They've played quality opponents and they've won big also. That's the other thing. They have the style points there. They need to be higher. This was definitely an eye test for me. This team is not at all efficient on the defensive side of the ball. We've talked about them a lot. I have Baylor at 6. Again, eye test for me. I have Kentucky at 7. Again, I think they're super athletic. They're not efficient on defense. That's going to be followed by Tennessee. Duke at number 9. They also make their debut for me somewhat by default, as you referenced, but they were both of our preseason national title picks. So I feel like at some point I have to admit they are talented, even though their resume is not there yet or their efficiency. And then number 10 for me, I have Houston. They did lose the 2 games, but at the end of the day, everyone has lost 3 or more games, really, besides a couple of teams. So they'll fall at 10. We'll see what happens with them. They still have a tough schedule. And then the other team I referenced, not getting any love, even though they are extremely efficient. And my honorable mention at number 11, no surprise to anyone of the show, guns up, Texas Tech at number 11 for me, for my honorable mention.
Okay. So I think the only one in the top 10 that we had different, like out of the top 10 teams, you have Baylor and I have Tennessee. Is that correct? The rest of the 9 that, so the rest of the 9.
And I don't have that other team that's out west that claims to like be a blue blood, but I still can't get over what they did.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe next week. We'll see.
All right. So let's go back to the agenda because I forgot about doing that.
That's fine. While you're looking through that, I have one thing.
Yes.
I went down a rabbit hole earlier today to find out, did Armando Bacot actually get fat? Fun fact, I think the stats are lying to us. Okay. This man is 23 years old. Coming in his freshman year, they had him listed at 6'10", 230 pounds. Okay. How much do you think he weighs right this minute if you saw him on television?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
You have no idea?
No,
okay, that's fine. Look, all I want you to do, everyone at home, go Google him in high school when he played for IMG.
Okay.
And then just look at a picture of him now. It is night and day. Okay? Night and day. They have this man listed at 6'11", 240. He is 5 years older, significantly larger, and you're telling me he's gained 10 pounds? I think we have a conspiracy on our hands. Just for reference, though, I was like, let's go look at another man that has played for 5 years and potentially has gotten fat, in Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Hunter Dickinson was 6'11" when he was 15 years old. That's insane.
Amazing. That
6'11", okay? He is currently listed at 7'1", 260 pounds. As a freshman, he was listed at 7'1", 255 pounds. So, all that to say, media is hiding things. These 2 men are probably getting fat. But as a side note of that, did you know Armando Bacot and Hunter Dickinson played on the same AAU basketball team?
Wow,
That is
no, I
not
didn't know that.
fair.
That is not
Both
at
of them
all.
were 6'10" and taller at the age of 15 years old.
Yeah.
Who beat them?
Yeah. Probably nobody.
That's insane. That is insane. All
Well,
right.
and just to let you know, every time we watch a Baycott at my house, my wife always refers to Baycott as the TV star because if you don't know, he was on Outer Banks.
Yes.
So,
So fun
yeah.
story about that. As I was going down this rabbit hole, it kept saying Outer Banks. Well, I
Uh-huh.
knew that he transferred to IMG his senior year. So I'm like, did he
Uh,
go to Outer Banks or something? No,
that's
he was on the
hilarious.
stupid show. So anyway,
And yes, we did watch that show,
back
just
to
like,
the agenda. Back to your regularly
yeah.
scheduled podcast.
And I dropped my phone again. So what's your record? You go first with your
Yes,
updated
obviously.
record.
Alrighty. Since we last recorded, I have put out 103 plays, just for anyone that would like to know that.
Jeez.
So I'm at a total of 569 plays, 295, 272, and 2. That is 52%. I am ecstatic over
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But just to show you how bizarre this season has been for me, in the last 30 days to the date, I am 108, 108, and 1.
Of course, yeah.
An exact 50%, which any person should be happy with. 217 plays, 50%. I will take that every day of the week. But that is where I'm at for, like I said, 52% on the dot.
Nice. All right, so I'm at a total of 350 picks. I'm 198, 152, and 0 for 56.57%. And that comes after last Saturday, where I think I was 7 and 11. So I made up for that. I've kind of been going through one of those like where you just barely get above 500. A couple of nights ago, I went 6 and 4. I lost by a half a point in one game, lost in overtime by a half point in another game, and lost in the last second shot for that Texas A&M game. So we're not riding a hot streak right now.
I'm pretty sure on Saturday, that's what drove me down the 1%. I think I went like 11 and 24 or something. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
And I am super nervous about this Saturday that we're about to preview too, because it is all road teams going to places that are not ranked. So
yeah, if you go to my betting pros, which you should all be going to if you want to see the full card, they do the little chart of like green, red, and it's always like a little bit green, like little green, little green, little green, little green. Saturday, it was just a straight line red, like out of the screen. Like just you suck today.
yeah, you shouldn't have made all these bets. All right. So as Jordan mentioned at the top of the podcast, Friday, Sunday, Monday, there really isn't anything to like that to spotlight. There's probably games to bet. Check our Twitter at Mingo Made One at Kyle Cliffy. You'll be able to find bets. I'm sure we'll have some on those days. But Saturday, it's all college basketball. Like I know my Packers play. I know Houston plays the Ravens, but you're going to have to watch college basketball leading up to those games. I think we have over 10 plays here. So again, we don't have any lines yet.
Nice.
We only have what the Ken Palm is projecting. So you'll have to make sure to check our Twitter for our actual spread picks. We'll try to give you our biggest leans or what we're thinking at the top. But let's go ahead and dive on in because it starts early with 4 games at noon. The very first one, number 9 Baylor, who's 14-3 at Texas, who is 12-5. And if you just watch Texas on Wednesday night, they blew a ginormous lead at home against UCF, and then their coach had the audacity to complain about the other team doing the horns down. It was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I know. Baylor just lost this week. Texas, I can't trust them at all. I'm going with the road team here. I'll take Baylor. I have a feeling Texas would be close to a pick 'em. Let's see what Ken Palm has it as. They have Baylor to win by 1. So we're talking real close to a pick 'em here. And I'll be doing Baylor money line no matter what here.
Until we can figure out conference play in this back and forth thing with teams just not showing up on the road, I'm going to take the over in this game.
Okay.
Both these teams, I think, have good offenses. Baylor plays no defense. They have a top 10 offense. Over. Only caveat to that is I think if the line is above 160, I'll probably go under. But Baylor, surprisingly, has not had a lot of lines over 160. Really, the only teams pulling those lines at this point are Alabama and Purdue, which are 1 and 2 in offensive efficiency.
All right. Let's go to the Big East here at noon. Also on Saturday, number 17 Marquette, 12-5 at St. John's, 12-6. Sneaky good St. John's team here, ranking in the top 40 in Ken Palm. Marquette is just loved by Ken Palm at 19. Road team here. Do you like them to pick up the Big East win? Maybe get into the mix for to the top spot, or do you think St. John's can stay at second in the Big East?
I'm not gonna pick a winner, but I am gonna say St. John's will cover the line here. I do think it's gonna be probably closer to 4.5, even though they are at home. Like you said, Marquette is just loved,
Mhm.
and the books love following Ken Palm.
Yeah.
They just do. So I'm gonna take, like I said, I'm gonna take what I'm assuming to be around a 4.5 line for St. John's to cover the game. I don't know if they win the game, but that's what I'm gonna slide with.
Yeah, I'm a little worried with what I've seen from St. John's. If they wouldn't have had their last two games, I know they're on the road at Creighton, at Seton Hall. They lost both of those games, pretty close games, one to Creighton, and they got a little bit beat up against Seton Hall 15, but Seton Hall has been a better team than what we expected. I just cannot buy into Marquette right now. They
Yeah.
kind of scare me. They're so like even at home they're untrustworthy. So I'm actually going to lead to St. John's here. And I like what I see at Ken Palm is that it's projected that Marquette will win by 3 here. So if I'm getting
Ooh,
points with the home team, I'll take St. John's here.
yes, let's go.
All right, let's keep it in the Big East. A couple teams I just talked about. Number 18, Creighton, 13-5 at Seton Hall, who is also 13-5. And these two teams, well, Seton Hall is tied for first with UConn. Creighton is sitting at 4-3 after a little bit of a rough start. Ken Pop loves Creighton a lot more than Seton Hall. It's
Mm-hmm.
53-17 there. Who do you like here in the Big East battle?
Same thing. I think if we get anything over 5 in favor of Creighton, I'm going to take Seton Hall to cover. Creighton, extremely good on offense, not great on defense. Just go look at the numbers. I think that does not bode well when you're going on the road. Seton Hall was really surprised. Obviously, they're tied for first, you said, I think, in the Big East.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I will take them to cover. Anything under 3, though, I'll take Creighton.
All right. And so just to give a little bit of perspective here from a net ranking standpoint, this would be a huge game for Seton Hall because they rank 58th currently in the net rankings, which is basically a borderline tournament team. And that's before out large bids would kind of take away. So this is a big early season game for them. 9-1 at home. Creighton, top 11 or top 15 team currently in the net rankings. They're only 4-3 on the road. So I think, again, I'm going to lean towards the home team here. Probably getting points, seeing what Kim Palm's saying that Creighton will win by 2. So I'm gonna take Seton Hall. If you're getting the points, if it's 2 or less, just take the money on. But I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
take Seton Hall back to back with St. John's to win at home against the ranked team.
What's Ken Palm got the total?
They have the total at 70-68, so 138.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I
Yeah.
was gonna say if it's 139, I'm probably taking the over. So anything 139 or less, I'll take the over on.
Okay. All right, we go to a bunch of fun teams to watch to a matchup that has not exactly been fun to watch all season. Noon on Saturday, Miami 12-5 at Syracuse 12-5. Not high expectations going into the year for Syracuse. They've kind of overachieved for what was looking like going to be a rebuild year in the first year head coach. Miami, super disappointing so far this season. Was supposed to be one of those teams that just got to the Final Four last year, looking to build on it with only losing one guy last year. Ken Palm has this one at Syracuse winning by 2. I trusted Miami
Ooh.
for a lot of the season, and it's not really worked out. And something that you told me, you told the podcast listeners actually about a month ago is before we got into conference plays, when you play a road game in Syracuse, you just have to go with the orange. And that's been working. So I'm going to stick with
Yes.
it. There's been a theme so far besides for that Texas game. I've been taking the home teams. I'm going to stick with Syracuse here at home because Miami, they are so hard to trust right now.
Yep. You never bet against the orange on the road, especially in January when there's freaking snowstorms galore. Syracuse and the under.
All right, love it, love it. All right, 1 p.m. on Saturday, San Diego State 15-3 at Boise State 12-5. A huge Mountain West battle here. San Diego State did lose. They actually got crushed by New Mexico last
They
Saturday.
did.
Do you think they can bounce back here and get a big win on the road, or are you going to go with Boise?
I got to go with my Broncos on this one. Also, again, San Diego State, extremely slow pace of play. Boise is going to have to rely on the 3 heavily. So you want this game to go over if you're on the Boise side. But as a side of that, I'm going to guess this game is going to be in like the 133 total. So I'm going to take Boise's team total also because you're going to need that if they're going to win.
So what I have seen so far, or what I've not been able to knock, is that I keep taking what I think are the 2 or 3 best teams in the Mountain West on the road, Colorado State, San Diego State on the road, and it's not been working. So I'm going to
Yes.
reverse here. I'm trying to listen to myself. What I told all you guys to do before conference play, taking Boise at home.
Nice.
All right, 1 p.m. Saturday, we have number 15 Oklahoma 14-3 at number 5 Houston 15-2. Honestly, when I put this one on here, I thought the spread would be a little bit closer, but I think this one's a little bit easier. I think Houston dominates Oklahoma because they have really struggled against the top elite competition
Yeah, I don't trust Oklahoma at all. I'm going to take Houston by 1 billion.
by a billion. I think. All right, 2 p.m. on Saturday, number 24 Iowa State 13-4 at number 19 TCU 13-4. I think we talked about it earlier, just how impressed we've been by TCU. Ken Palm, though, more impressed by Iowa State. They're 15th compared to TCU 23rd. Now, I'm taking the home team again. I'm taking TCU, especially with a very small spread here.
Yep, I think when you're at home and you have the offense on your side, yes, Iowa State great on defense. I'm taking TCU in that running gun.
Love it. All right, let's move it on to the number 2 team in the nation, Purdue, playing at 2 p.m. on Saturday, 16-2 at Iowa, who's 11-6. We all know what Iowa's going to do. It's going to be run and gun. They're going to have to score 95 points to win this. Do you give them any shot to pull off the upset?
Not even close. Taking the under in this game because Iowa will not be close. Purdue probably by 30.
Yeah, I think this is an absolute just slaughter. Like Purdue knows how to play Iowa so well, and they don't even
Yes.
have a big guy to go to. So
Yes.
definitely going with
When
Purdue
you
here.
when you look at that total is going to be damn near 170, and it's going to be nowhere close. That total is going to end up in like the 140s because the final score is going to be like 85-60.
Yeah, it's not going to be close at all. And Ken Palm actually has this to be 90-81. And if
Not
I'm
a
getting
chance.
less, yeah, I'm getting
Not a
less than double
chance.
digits here. So. All right, let's move it to the nighttime, 6 p.m. on Saturday. Number 20 BYU 14-3 at number 25 Texas Tech 14-3. Huge battle here because BYU needs one of those significant wins in the Big 12. Texas Tech, you have them in your top 10 or top 11, I
11.
guess.
Yep.
Top 11. So I'll let you go ahead. Go first.
Texas Tech's the home team. They're going to win this game, but it's going to be an absolute shootout. As always, these are my two teams now in the Big 12. I'm going to take the over also because I want it to be a fun game. I can't watch a slugfest of like 52-50. That's going to be boring.
Yeah.
Take the over, but TCU, Texas Tech's going to win this game.
So this is the one time I'm going against the home team. I'm actually going to take BYU because I think they're the more desperate team here. And I don't think Texas Tech has actually played that difficult of a Big 12 compared to like what some of these teams have. Their biggest win in the Big 12 is Texas. I don't buy Texas. So I actually going to take BYU here. And just for note, Texas Tech 33rd in Ken Palm, BYU 9th in Ken Palm.
There you go.
All right, 8 p.m. Number 1 UConn 16-2 at Villanova 11-6. Absolutely huge. This feels just like that game against the Kentucky game with Texas A&M last weekend. Villanova absolutely needs this one. Does your team get the big win that they need, or does UConn keep going on?
You took it from me last game. Villanova desperate for that big win. On the road for UConn, conference play. They need it badly. I'm taking Nova in a stunner. We keep the upsets rolling. UConn's going down. Also, sneaky, maybe a top 5 rivalry game in college basketball.
It is. I love this matchup. Love it. I am all in with you. They have Justin Moore back. He has not played well in either game that he's been back, but that's okay. Him and Eric Dixon will get it figured out. They know their senior years are on the line here. They need this win. It ain't going to happen at UConn, so they need the home game. I think Villanova gets the win here.
Perfect.
All right, last game on this slate, late night, after the Packers end up winning against the 49ers. You can watch this and enjoy all the money that you won on that game as well. 10 p.m., St. Mary's, 13-6 at San Francisco, 14-4. You're probably like, didn't you just bash this? Well, both of these teams are undefeated in the WCC. So one of them, we need to go on a run. So if we're going to have multiple bids in here. I really lost a lot of money on St. Mary's early in the season. I actually haven't been too into San Francisco. I've only tuned in a couple of their games. That being said, I know their style of play. I think that'll give St. Mary's a bit of issues. They're the home team. They obviously are going to have so much support from the crowd. I'm going to go with San Fran to get what will be a very small line. Ken Palm has them winning by 1, so St. Mary's might even be favored in this one.
All right, this is my pre-dead game of the week for me. St. Mary's needs to win this game. I've been on them for about 3 years now. I love San Francisco. They're always a fun team to watch. But as you mentioned, we need a team out of this conference. I think St. Mary's has the best chance to be that
Yep.
team, not named Gonzaga. I'll take St. Mary's to win this game in a close one.
All right. That is all we have for you this episode. Again, go check us out on Twitter at Kyle Cliffy, at Mingo Made One. We'll give you all the picks. We're rolling right now, both over 50%. We're making you money. We'll be back next week, and best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love you guys.